All right, next we're going to be writing equations of perpendicular lines. Now, if you recall, if one line is perpendicular to another, big thing that differs is the slope. So the slope of the line that we are going to be writing, the equation for, is going to have the what's called negative reciprocal. So let's write this up here. Negative reciprocal. So if I have, for example, the fraction, I don't know, 2/3, the negative reciprocal would be -3/2. Or if I had, for example, -1, which we could think of as -1/1, the negative reciprocal for that, actually let's make that -2, which we could think of as -2/1, the negative reciprocal would be +1/2. Alright, so here, for example, 1/3, we flip it upside down and make it negative. Our new slope is going to be -3. So we're writing the equation of a line as a slope of -3 and goes to this point 0, 0. So we set up our equation. Y equals mx plus b. We know the slope, it's -3. -3x plus b. And then we know what x and y are for at least one point, so we stick them in there. Y is 0 equals -3 times 0 plus b. And then we end up with 0 equals, well, -3 times 0 is 0, so we leave it off, equals b. So our y-intercept is 0. So our equation is y equals -3x plus 0 for our y-intercept, but we'll just leave the plus 0 off. Our equation is y equals -3x. So next door here. Here, we're perpendicular to the line x equal, or y equals x plus 2. The slope of this line is just 1, so the slope that we are dealing with will be -1. Okay? The negative reciprocal of 1, if I think of 1 as 1/1, I flip it upside down and make it negative, and I end up with just -1/1. Okay? Alright, which in either case is 1 and -1. So, our equation is going to be y equals mx plus b. Our slope we know is -1. Y equals, and I can just leave the 1 off and write -x plus b. We know one pair of xy coordinates. I'll plug those in. Y is -1 equals -2 plus b, and a -2 is a +2. Okay. Now we're going to subtract 2 from both sides, and we end up with -3 equals b. So our equation is y equals slope of -1. I'll leave the 1 off and just write x minus 3. And that line would be perpendicular to this original line up here and pass through that point. Next up, since this slope is -3, right, -3/1 gets changed into +1/3. So our slope is 1/3. Our equation, y equals mx plus b. We know our m, it's 1/3. Y equals 1/3 x plus b. Now we know our x and our y over here for at least one point. So let's say I'll plug those in. 1 equals 1/3 times our x coordinate, which is 3. So I'm just substituting x and y, 3 and 1, from this point into the equation, plus 3. 1 equals 1/3 times 3. Well, if I have 1/3, I multiply that times 3, I have 3/3, which is just 1, plus 3. So 1/3 times 3 equals 3/3 equals 1. Okay? Subtract 1 from both sides, and I get 0 equals b. So our equation is y equals 1/3 x plus 0 for b. And we can just leave off the 0 and go y equals 1/3 x. One more example for you. So let's see. Our slope of this line is -2, which we can think of as -2/1. Flip it upside down and we get 1/2, and positive becomes negative, so our new slope is 1/2. Y equals mx plus b. We're going to write out our equation there. We know our slope already. It's 1/2. So I'll write y equals 1/2 x plus b. We know x and y for at least one point, so we're going to substitute those into our equation here. Y equals 1 times 1/2. X is 4 plus b. 1 equals, now 1/2 times 4, I can write this over the side. 1/2 times 4 equals 4 halves, which equals 2. So 1 equals 2 plus b. We can subtract 2 from both sides, and we end up with -1 equals b. So our equation is y equals 1/2 x minus 1. All right, there you go. Good luck with the rest of these.